Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Carolyn RNY. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. And today's video is a particularly interesting topic, to me at least. I want to talk about the differences between the gastric bypass surgery and the sleeve gastrectomy, and why I ended up choosing the gastric bypass surgery. I touched on this a little bit in my very first video, which is pretty long, so I wanted to condense this into one video. So I hope you stick around. I think it's gonna be an interesting one and hopefully informative. So what is the gastric bypass and what is the sleeve gastrectomy? Well, I'm going to read from my surgeon's website about what these two surgeries actually are. So the gastric bypass surgery is a procedure that creates a new, smaller stomach pouch that holds about 1 ounce of food. The surgeon bypasses the remainder of your stomach by connecting a portion of the digestive tract directly to a smaller pouch of the stomach that was created. So I'll throw up a picture right here of what the gastric bypass looks like. And yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Another name for it is RNY, and the acronym for that is obviously RNY, hence my YouTube name, Carolyn RNY. Okay, so the sleeve gastrectomy is a different kind of surgery, and it is where the surgeon removes approximately 75 to 80% of the stomach to create a long, narrow stomach sleeve that connects the end of the esophagus to the starting point of the intestine. So I'll throw up a picture right now of what that looks like. And it basically just looks kind of like a banana to me. So the sleeve gastrectomy is a long tube, and the gastric bypass gives you a tiny little pouch. Essentially, these two surgeries work very similarly. The point is to lose weight. And if you have any comorbidities like diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, these surgeries should help you treat that in a way, because you're losing weight and those things get better when you're not heavily obese or overweight. The differences basically come down to what the surgery does, essentially, and it just changes the shape of your new stomach. Also, for comparison, the VSG, or sleeve gastrectomy, vertical sleeve gastrectomy, tends to be less restrictive than the gastric bypass. The gastric bypass is a much smaller pouch that sits kind of right here. You can see right here. It is more restrictive than the sleeve gastrectomy, so you'll be able to eat a little bit more with the sleeve gastrectomy, but really not much. I mean, maybe a couple ounces, I would say. Now, I really only have experience with how the gastric bypass feels. I've never had the vertical sleeve, so I can't attest to the recovery, how the eating has been like for people who have had that. If you have had the VSG, please leave a comment down below your experience. I'd love to know, and also why you chose this surgery. What made you go with the VSG as compared to the RNY? I chose the RNY because it's the gold standard of bariatric surgery. I'm very much so analytical and data oriented, so I really paid attention to the long-term numbers with these surgeries, and I just wasn't comfortable with where we are currently with the sleeve gastrectomy. It's only a procedure that's been around, I want to say 20-25 years. The gastric bypass surgery has been around for 60 years, if not more. And we really have that long-term data that shows the long-term success rates and sustainability of weight loss with this surgery. And that was really important to me, because at the end of the day, I want this surgery to continue to be a tool for me to use the rest of my life, and I want long-term sustainable weight loss. That's the whole point. I don't want to gain any of my weight back. Maybe a couple pounds is normal, a regain a small regain may be normal, but I don't want to go back to this weight. I don't want to go back to 400 pounds. I really don't. So for me, it was taking a look at the long term and seeing how, even though it's a more restrictive surgery, the outcomes to me were far more beneficial. That isn't to say the VSG isn't a great surgery. It's a great option for people. And if it helps you, and that's the most important thing. I'm not here to knock any surgery option. If you're choosing to have surgery, I think that's great. I think it shows bravery and courage and strength to make this determination for yourself for a healthier you, and that's all that matters, honestly. Another reason to take into consideration on what surgery you're going to have is insurance. Insurance plays a huge part in the decision making, I think. At least for me it did. And it was actually pretty easy because my insurance only covered the gastric bypass surgery. Now, I can kind of guess as to why, possibly because it is the gold standard surgery. It has the most long-term success rates associated with it, over 50-60 years. So I can understand why insurance companies are more likely to want to approve and pay for that surgery rather than the sleeve gastrectomy. So that was a pretty easy choice for me, and even without knowing that my insurance was only going to cover the gastric bypass surgery, I was already pretty set on that being the surgery that I wanted. It also is a surgery that helps lose probably about 10, 20, 30 more pounds than what you would lose with the sleeve gastrectomy. According to my surgeon, excess weight loss averages 60 to 65% for the sleeve gastrectomy, and I believe for the gastric bypass it's around 70 to 80%. So not a huge jump, but I would say pretty important. And of course this varies from patient to patient, so please don't think that those numbers are everything, and every patient is different. That was a huge thing for me, like knowing that I also had so much weight to lose. Like, there's a difference between being 250 pounds and having bariatric surgery and being 400 pounds and having bariatric surgery. And for me, I just felt like my greatest chance of success was to have the gastric bypass. Now, maybe you decide differently, and maybe you are 400 pounds and you'd rather have the sleeve gastrectomy. Good for you. Go for it. I'm so happy for you. And if you're 250 pounds and you choose to have the gastric bypass, go for it. I'm happy for you. At the end of the day, I don't think that you can really break down each and every little thing and try and choose which surgery you're going to have that way. Obviously, listen to your surgeon, and if they recommend a certain surgery for you, you should take that into account. But ultimately, it's your decision and yours to make alone. And I think it comes down to a gut thing, and my gut was telling me to have gastric bypass surgery. And if you haven't seen my previous video, you'd know that I don't have a single regret. It has changed my life invariably, and I'm so happy I did it. This has been my little comparison. I hope you enjoyed. It's probably a really quick video, probably totally insignificant, but thought I'd give my little 2 cents on that. Either way, I don't think you can go wrong. Just make sure you use your tool the way it was provided and given to you through your wonderful surgeon, and make sure that you're doing this for you, and that no one else sways your decision, because you're the one who has to live with it. You're the one who has to live with the lifelong changes that you have to make this surgery a successful one. So I hope you do that, and as always, like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions for me, I'd love that. I'd love to do maybe a Q&A video at some point, so if you want to know a little bit more about me, leave some questions down below and I'll be happy to get on that. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!